Hi, good morning. So today is the last lecture that I'm going to take on producer theory. So we have already gone ahead and talked about the cost functions. We have talked about the different kind of production functions. Today, I want to go ahead and I want to talk about what are the different ways in which we can think about the profit function and what is the duality problem in producer theory, right? So that is what is going to be my aim for today's lecture. Now, when we talk, so please write down, when we talk about the producer theory, we can go ahead and we can say that there are three main kind of problems that any firm can go ahead and can face, right? So if we just talk about it, please write this down that there are three optimization problems faced by a firm. And we can just say that these three optimization problems are: first, it wants to maximize its output given its inputs. So this is the first thing that any firm can go ahead and do, that it would like to go ahead and it would like to maximize the output that it produces given its resource constraint, given its inputs. It wants to go ahead and it wants to maximize its output. That is the first thing. The second thing which a firm can go ahead and can do is minimize cost subject to its output. So in this, we are saying that given the cost function of the firm, once you tell us that this is the cost, once you tell us that this is the output of the firm, this is what the firm wants to go ahead and produce, then we will want to go ahead and we would like to check what is the minimum cost in which that output can be produced. So for example, if I tell you, look, I want to go ahead and I want to produce, suppose I tell you 100 units of output, then what is the minimum money in which I can go ahead and I can produce those 100 units of output? That is the next thing that this firm can go ahead and decide, right? So to minimize the cost for the given level of output, that is the next thing. And the third thing which this firm can do is profit maximization. So I simply go ahead and I simply tell you, look, I want to go ahead and I want to maximize my profits. Okay. And when I maximize my profit, I have already gone ahead and considered revenue also and cost also. So then automatically this goes ahead and this becomes an unconstrained problem. कोई constraint नहीं है, मैं सीधा का सीधा अपने profit को maximize कर रही हूँ. Profit में I am considering my revenue also, and profit में I am considering my cost also. So I have gone ahead and I have considered both the factors in the same one. Now, suppose we go with the first one. So I tell you that the firm wants to go ahead and maximize its output given the resource constraint. So in a way, this is just saying maximize output means what, beta? It means reach highest ISO quant possible. Right? So an ISO quant was representing the output which a firm could have produced, right? ISO quant represents the output that a firm can go ahead and produce. And when I say maximize output, it means I want to go ahead and I want to reach the highest ISO quant possible. And because I am saying subject to resource constraint, so resource is what? Resource is the money available by with the firm, which it is going to go ahead and use on its input. तो यहीं से ना from the resource constraint, beta, we go ahead and we get something which is called as an ISO cost line. So what is an ISO cost line? We can say that the budget line of the firm is called as ISO cost line. So try to understand this thing. See, ISO means same. And cost is nothing but cost. So ISO cost line is any line that goes ahead and that represents the same cost incurred, right? So when we go ahead and when we say, go ahead and plot the line that represents the same cost, right? So we can say different combination of labor and capital such that same cost is incurred. Take an example, beta. Suppose I tell you, I am employing L units of labor. Each unit of labor takes a wage rate of W. So W into L, it represents the wage paid to labor. W into L represents the wage paid to labor. Similarly, I am telling you that I am employing K units of capital, and to each unit of capital, I am paying a rental rate of R. So R into K represents the rent paid to capital. So wage plus rent will be the cost incurred by firm. There are only two inputs, I'm assuming. So this is the cost incurred by this firm, and this is called as the cost curve. Okay, this becomes the cost curve of the firm. अब ध्यान से समझने की कोशिश करो. I am going ahead and saying that C is equal to WL plus RK. I have taken labor on the x-axis and capital on the y-axis. I need to go ahead and find the slope of this ISO cost line. So what is going to be the slope of this line? Very simple. I will represent it in the format y is equal to mx plus c. What am I seeing on the y-axis? Capital. So what do I need here? Capital. So if I just represent that in this format, I will get k is equal to c minus WL and divided by R. So it tells me that this intercept is going to be C by R. This negative sign shows me that this is going to be a downward sloping line. And the slope is going to be W by R. So I am going to go ahead and get downward sloping line and its slope is going to be W by R. So this is going to go ahead and become my ISO cost line with a slope of W by R. Now, the question is, I have got my ISO cost line. I want to go ahead and I want to maximize the output produced given these resources or cost. What does it mean? It means that if I go ahead and I give you one ISO cost line, मैंने आपको एक ISO cost line दे दी. So given this ISO cost line, you want to go ahead and you want to reach highest ISO quant possible. So I have given you an ISO cost line. Given this ISO cost line, you want to go ahead and you want to reach the highest ISO quant possible. So what will you do? You will start with one ISO quant beta. Then you can go on to the higher ISO quant. You can go on higher ISO quant, and this will be the highest ISO quant that you will be reaching, which will happen at this. This will be your point of equilibrium. So what do we see? Where will the firm reach its equilibrium? So equilibrium will be at tangency condition between ISO cost line and ISO quant. So we have gone ahead and we have reached an equilibrium wherever there is tangency between ISO cost line and ISO quant. Right? What is the slope of ISO cost line, bache? I just found out W by R. I am taking in absolute values. What is the slope of ISO quant? M, R, T, S. So wherever these two will be equal to each other, that can be called as your equilibrium condition. So equilibrium condition requires tangency. It requires that we go ahead and we find the tangency between ISO quant and your ISO cost line. What I can go ahead and do is another way is that I can go ahead and form a Lagrange also. Right? So suppose I give you a production function, that your production function is L to the power alpha, K to the power beta. I will not do this. We have done this multiple times in the utility function. I'm just going to give you a hint here. Your cost function is WL plus RK. So you can go ahead and you can form a Lagrange. So you can write L will be equal to L to the power alpha, K to the power beta plus lambda WL plus RK minus C. Reverse भी लिख सकते हो. Does not alter your answer. You can also write C minus WL minus RK. So this will be your Lagrange that you have formulated. You can differentiate your Lagrange with respect to L, equated to 0. Differentiate your Lagrange with respect to K, equated to 0. Differentiate your Lagrange with respect to lambda and equated to 0. This is another thing which you can go ahead and do. So up to you, whether you want to go ahead through this approach or the other approach, it is fine. Achha, just remember here that what will be the interpretation of this lambda. So if you remember, when we were doing the utility analysis, us time pe I had explained this interpretation. And I had told you that this lambda represents marginal utility of income. Extra utility you get when you change income. income was coming here. This was your utility function. And I told you lambda represents extra utility when income changes. So can you tell me what will be lambda here? This is my production function. This is my cost. So lambda will tell me extra output when cost changes. That means when the firm has extra money with it. मतलब अगर मैं फर्म को एक एक्स्ट्रा रुपया दे दूं, है ना, तो उससे कितना एक्स्ट्रा आउटपुट फर्म प्रोड्यूस कर पाएगा? What will be the extra output firm will be able to produce if I give one additional rupee for firm to spend, right? This is what this lambda tells me here. Always remember this interpretation of this lambda. This is what it is telling me, right? So just try to understand this aspect, okay? So now, what we can go ahead and we can do is, we can just quickly take one numerical, do it on this aspect. So question. I am taking the same question here, beta. I am given that Q is equal to L to the power 1 by 4, K to the power 1 by 4, W is equal to 10, R is equal to 20, and suppose cost is equal to 100. Okay. And I ask you find L star and K star. You need to find L star and K star. So what can